Hello, and welcome to our last lesson in the Crowd Motion Part Toolsets section of this course. In this lesson, we'll be understanding how we can incorporate agent relationships inside our Crowd Motion Path setups. So, agent relationships basically indicate any child parent relationship between two agents, which can be something like a horse rider riding a horse, a motorcyclist riding a bike, or in our case, we have a castle guard riding a mutant. So the possibilities of these relationships are only limited by your imagination. So let's get started. In this lesson, we'll be doing something different. Instead of creating a setup from scratch, we'll be duplicating our crowd motion path arcing layer setup. I'll call this agent relationships with crowd motion paths. And before we jump inside, in our agent template, I have a new agent imported from Mixamo. I have this castle guard agent which I'll be parenting to my mutant. So for this agent, I have a cheering sit cycle which I will be using to make my guard ride the mutant. So let's go inside the agent relationship with crowd motion paths node. And before our crowd motion path node, we can take an agent relationship node. I'll take a second object merge and bring in my castle guard. I'll right click on my crowdsource node and create a reference copy and paste it for my castle guard. And in the agent relationship node, my first input will be my mutant and my second input will be my guard. So now we can visualize it. We can see that for each mutant that we have one castle guard attached to it. However, we want the castle guard to be much smaller than the mutant. So we can take an attribute create and create a p-scale attribute in our castle guards. And set the value to zero point 0.4. Coming back to our agent relationship node, we can select which joint we want our character to be parented to. So I'll select the spine 1 joint as I want my agent to be parented on the shoulders of this mutant. And for our child joint, I'll select the hip joint. Now we can give it some offset as well as some rotation. And connect it to a crowd motion path node. So while we have our mutant correctly animated, we need to assign the animation clips to our guards as well. We can do that by adding another assignment and select the cheering set cycle. I'll again set the speed to be varying as well as give it a random clip offset. I'll constrain both my position and rotation so that our character also rotates when the spine joint rotates. I'll offset my character so that it sits correctly on the shoulders of the mutant. Something like this works. We can see that our guards are following the actions of the mutants. Even the arcing layers are supported by this setup. In case we want to visualize how our guard is moving or edit the motion paths for just the child agents, we can uncheck this hide child agent paths to see the paths for our child agents. Once again, we can copy this node and bring it into stage. Switch to Karma XPU and we have our characters coming in. So now we have discussed all the motion part toolsets possible and all the permutations and combinations you can achieve using these tools. In the next lesson, we learn how to simulate cloth on crowd agents using Vellum, and that would be the last piece of the puzzle that we would need before we are equipped to go ahead and start generating our final scene. Thanks for watching and see you in the next lesson.